It's good, y'all. Welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and today we're going to be doing the second part of our positional rankings for the draft. So last time we did the offensive rankings. This time we're going to do the defensive rankings. So we're talking about interior defensive linemen, edge, which is going to be defensive ends and outside linebackers. We also got inside linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties. We're going to be doing this all right here, finishing off this ranking. It's me and Jake. I'll introduce him in a sec, but before I get into it, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Stone Cold Kittle. I post a lot of content there, Niners content, other sports content, debating fans, doing a lot there. So make sure to follow me there if you want more content from me. If you have any questions during the stream, make sure to leave them in the live chat or in the comments below. Without further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's introduce Jake real quick. How you doing, Jake?
Good, thanks.
All right, and once again, I'm going to put up Jake's Draft Hub right here. If you ever want help with anything for the draft, looking at prospects, mock drafts, you go right here. He's did a really good job. So if you ever want anything, make sure to check it out. All right, you ready to get into it?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. So our first ranking is interior defensive linemen. So last video we did quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, O lineman. Make sure to check that out. That's my last video. I don't have a link for it right now. I'll post it probably later in the description after this video is done. But anyways, let's just go right into defensive linemen. So as I can see right now, our top three defensive linemen are exactly the same. So Derek Brown, Javon Kinlaw. I think that's a unanimous 1-2 from most draft experts right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I even have Kinlaw in my projected. I think I see him going top 10.
Yeah, I would. I think right now I have him going 9 to Jacksonville. I've heard Niners are really high up on him. I don't think he's going to fall past the top 15. I doubt.
There's a lot of interior D line needs when you're talking about Carolina, Jacksonville, like you said.
Yeah, I bet Carolina goes Derek Brown unless Carolina's probably going to go Derek Brown, and then Jacksonville takes Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah,
unless Okudah somehow falls to them. But then again, one of those.
I mean, it's all about. I think Brown is falling in the draft a little bit. I mean, obviously he's still going to get taken like top 10, but falling a little bit just because the need in the top 5 isn't really there for interior D linemen. Like none of the teams want they want an explosive playmaker like Isaiah Simmons, Chase Young, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's why they're probably going to fall a little bit. So and then our third ranked player is both Jordan Elliott, who I think a lot of people are sleeping on. I think in the mock draft simulations I've done, he's fallen to like the second or third round, or even the fourth round. Like he's fallen a lot in the mock draft simulations. So
yeah, I've seen it's like you said, it's kind of like whoever does the mock draft is either really high on him or really low on him. And I either see him like third or late first, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I have right now, kind of Jordan Elliott. I think if some team can pick it up in the third round, that's going to be a steal. I think he's going to be a really good part to a team. Let me fix my lighting really quickly. Okay, that's a bit better. Let's move on to number 4. So you have Raekwon Davis. I have Ross Blacklock, who Max thinks is the best D-line prospect of all time. And then Joel says this in response to Max, I think. So anyways, but let's talk about that. So you have Raekwon Davis at number 4?
Yeah, I have Davis. I think even though some people say that he was not very good and he only looked okay because Alabama's defense and the surrounding other guys, but I think it's more that he got overshadowed. He has great quickness. He played some edge, so he could do that like Calais Campbell, big man, like similar to Marlon Davidson. But I think he's just such a great athlete, good run defender. Pass rusher, if he can develop his run defending ability. Because he has pretty good speed from that interior D-line, even though I guess he's slightly smaller than you'd want compared to the other guys like Brown, Kinlaw, and Elliott.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I like him. He's pretty low on my ranking for some reason. I think I just like the other 6 guys. He
didn't do a lot in college.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. So my number 4 is Ross Blacklock. I think he's definitely a first round. He could be a first round pick or late first round, early second round. I don't see him falling any further. I think teams are, from what I've heard, they're pretty high up on him. I like the way he plays a lot, so I have him at number 4. Moving on to number 5, I have is it Buki. I don't know how to pronounce that.
I think it's Matabuke.
Matabuke. All
Matabuke.
right,
I
whatever.
don't know.
Whatever
I
his
wrote
name
it
is, out of Texas
phonetically
A&M.
online.
You have Marlon Davidson. I love that kid. Why don't you talk about him for a bit?
Davidson, yeah, he played on the edge a lot because I don't know. I'm not super. I didn't look it up or anything, but I mean, you figure Brown played on the inside, so they want a guy like Davidson on the edge. But I see him translating. That's why I have him in the interior D lineman to the interior because he's got great speed, strength. If he uses his, I guess, if he develops some moves more instead of bull rushing, I think he can become a not elite, but good interior defensive lineman.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a steal wherever some team gets him. I think he has a lot of room to develop, which I like. I don't have him at 5. I have Matabuki at 5. I think he's a bit more NFL ready for what I've been reading, so that's why I have him there. Really, I love Marlon Davidson though. I have him at number 6. You have Ross Blacklock at number 6. We've talked about him a bit. If you want to say anything else,
I mean, you kind of said it. Good run stopper. I mean, it's not.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Number 7. So I have Raekwon Davis. We've talked about this one a bit. Let's talk about Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma. This is who you have right there.
Yeah, I see Gallimore. I mean, he's a big run stopping type, like kind of a Danny Shelton or just like some plug and play guy where you sit him there, takes up two blockers. He got some sacks in college, but I don't see his like quickness or pass rushing ability able to translate. That's why I see him down here at 7. But I think if he gets in the right scheme, he can just kind of be a starter for a while. Nothing really more than that. That's why I have him as like a 3rd rounder because that's what you're kind of looking for.
Yeah, I definitely like him. I think he's probably going to fall round 3. Definitely has some starting potential. I have Davis at 7. Again, a bit more NFL ready than Gallimore, but still I like him a lot. Definitely overshadowed, as you said. So, yeah, and then number 8, I have Gallimore, as you just said. And you have Matabuki at number 8. I like him a lot. I'm kind of surprised he's a bit lower on your list.
Yeah, I think Matabuke, you said that he was more NFL ready. I didn't feel that way watching his tape. I
wouldn't say he's like the most NFL ready. I felt like he was just more NFL ready than Marlon Davidson.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's why I put him there.
Yeah, I just thought that he used his strength and like bull rushing like a lot of players do in college when they're just so much more athletically gifted than the opposing offensive lineman. But once he develops some like moves and quickness, I think, yeah, he could be good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, talked about number 8. Number 9 and 10, we have the same. Laurel Murchison at NC State and Devon Hamilton at Ohio State. I really like Murchison, I got to say. I think he's probably going to be like round 4, round 5 pick, day 3 pick. But I definitely think some team's going to get a lot of value out of him. And same with Devon Hamilton. I think Murchison's going to have a bit more value in the NFL, in my opinion. But I know Hamilton, I haven't read too much about him, but I've heard that he's pretty decent and should be a good late round pick as well.
Yeah, I think that the top 8 are, you can kind of like move them around as you will, but they're the top 8, and then there's a little bit.
There's a little gap. Yeah, I
have these like 5th round to late round, like day 3 players. And Murchison, I think that he has the great feet and like quickness that it's hard to teach at the NFL level, but he's still pretty raw in that he only has that high motor. And then Hamilton, I mean, he's got similar to Murchison. He's super raw. Hands need work, and then he needs to get leverage more because once he gets into the offensive lineman, which is basically an interior lineman's job, he can't really get off of it. So that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, about the gap that you said about how like the top 8 and there's a gap right there. I've seen mock drafts where Murchison's going ahead of Jordan Elliott, which is kind of weird to me.
That's crazy to me.
I know. I've seen like I did like a community mock draft and Murchison went ahead of Elliott, which was kind of weird. Maybe the people in my draft didn't really know too much about the draft. But another guy, this is just for my Niner fans, another guy that we might want to watch, Benito Jones at Ole Miss, probably going to be a late seventh round pick. Kid was a beast in high school, kind of fell off in college, but he has that connection with DJ Jones, so maybe another guy to come in. I also think we should take one of those guys on the list right there. From what I'm hearing, we're really high up on Kinlaw. If Derek Brown falls to us, I would be happy taking him. I doubt that happens though, but we'll see how the draft pans out. All right, let's move on. Next position is edge. So instead of doing defensive end and outside linebacker, we just combined it into one position, edge. So our first two are the same. Chase Young, my opinion, he's the best player in the draft. Would you say the same thing?
Yeah,
best player in the draft. Redskins are. I think everyone thinks that the Redskins are going to take him. I think most executives think that the Redskins are going to take him. Clavon Chaisson, I think that's is it Chaisson or Chaisson? I need to get.
I think it's K'Lavon Chaisson.
K'Lavon Chaisson. All right, I'm horrible at pronunciations, especially with like unique names, I guess you can say. But I think this guy's going to be a top 20 pick. I really like the way he plays. Was a beast at LSU.
The only thing that I've heard about him is that the LSU defense has so many good players that he was just able to run free every time. But I try and ignore those things because what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah, I know. So it's like everyone that's with every team because like everyone criticizes the one player that like is not doing the job that they should be doing. Like everyone's quote unquote carrying them. Yeah. So it happens with every team, but. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to number 3. So you have Terrell Lewis. I haven't read too much about him. I want to hear about him a bit more.
Yeah, let me get my notes in a second. I think he finds the holes. He has great field vision. So he gets through the holes in the O-line, and he has polished moves and quickness to get to the quarterback. Obviously, he's a pass rusher. The Alabama defense was noticeably different when he was on the field. I don't have any stats, but I watched a couple games but his concern was really injuries. But he's always gotten back to the same player he was once he's come back. But that's why I think you see him slipping to the second or third round. Yeah, where guys behind him on my list, like Gross Matos, is in the first.
Yeah, Gross Matos is going to be a first round pick. That's what I have for my number 3, Gross Matos. I think he's besides if you're talking about someone I think he's like the only guy on here that's actually Chase Young's listed as edge. Chaisson's listed as I think he's listed as technically an outside linebacker on a lot of the boards, but Gross Matos is listed as like that edge guy, kind of like that more pure edge who I really like him a lot. I think 2 teams that make a lot of sense for him, 3 teams actually that make a lot of sense for him. Dallas, but that would be a bit of a reach. Minnesota and Seattle. I think those teams are really high up on him, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I've seen a lot of mocks going to Seattle or New England.
New England. Oh, I haven't heard about that really, but
I mean, dude is 6'5" and has strongest hands in the draft.
Yeah, I've heard New England taking Jordan Love, but I'm not 100% sure if that's going to happen. They might be set on Stidham.
I don't see, with all that's happening with Tua, I don't see Jordan Love falling
that far. I heard they're really high up on Herbert, but that's never going to happen.
I mean, we say never, but Belichick could make a move.
I mean, but they don't have. Do they have the draft capital to do so?
They have 12 picks.
Oh, okay. Then they do.
And they traded their second, which is hilarious to me.
They traded their second,
and they still have 12 picks.
Wait, who did they trade their second for? Who? Sanu. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because remember, they always get all the third round comp picks.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
players. Yeah,
they always get those. But I also want to bring up. I didn't mention this on the Terrell Lewis point. How you said like the Alabama defense was notably better. I think you definitely have a better understanding of that because you watch more film, and that's why I also Jake definitely watches a lot more film than I do. So once again, if you want to check out Jake's Draft Hub, this guy watches a lot of film. There's a lot of info on all the prospects that you want to know. So make sure to check it out as well. But yeah, that's all I got to say. All right, number 4. So you have Gross Matos, who we just talked about a lot. Do you have anything more to say about him or not really?
No, I mean, I said it. Big 6'5". You said who's interested in him. Strong hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then I have Epinesa, who you're really low on. We can talk about that a bit later, but I really like this kid. I think I think he's definitely going to tear it up in the NFL. This is another guy that I've seen go into Seattle. I've seen him on some mock draft simulations going like as high as 16 to Atlanta. Or I've heard also about the Giants trading down to get him, which I think is never going to happen. But I've seen that on some mock drafts before. I just really like this kid, big guy out of Iowa. Just has his hands. I think is his hands the problem, or is that his, or am I thinking of someone else?
It was here. I'll just talk about him now.
All right, might as well.
Basically, he plays really slowly. Was my thing.
Yeah,
He's more of a technician on the outside, which isn't really like what you want because he's not going to be able to like he uses his like I guess strength and moves, but that translates more to interior D lineman in my opinion. And
I
a
think
lot
they
of
can easily
teams,
move him there, though. That's the
yeah, a
thing.
lot of teams thought that he was going to do really bad at the combine, and
And
he did just
he
worse. That's what I heard.
worse.
I don't have his numbers up, but he's a guy where I need more. I need to see more of him because he was what top 10. Like I wanted the Raiders to take him at 12 for a while.
Yeah, I know he was real. We were really high up
he's
on
just
him
been
before.
in free fall. But that's just what I.
Yeah, I think still he'll do pretty well in the NFL. I definitely can see him making the move to defensive lineman. I think I heard something about his hands that a lot of people were not liking. I don't know what it was, but
I thought
anyways,
he even had good use of hands.
all right. I might be thinking about someone else. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to number 5. So I have Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame. You have Curtis Weaver out of Boise State. I definitely think I really like Okwara. I can see him going in first round if some team wants to reach on him. Maybe second or third round. That's probably more likely. But I think just the way he plays, I've really liked it. He has solid hands from what I've heard. Yeah, he's just pretty good all around. I don't know. I think there's a bit of a gap after Epinesa and Okwara, but I think he's still going to do fairly well in the NFL. I think a team that doesn't necessarily need an edge rusher would probably take him. So I think Seattle would not take him. Maybe Minnesota might be a good fit because Danielle Hunter can mentor him. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, you have Curtis Weaver at number 5, Okwara at 6. Let's talk about Curtis Weaver for a bit. What you got on him?
Yeah, Weaver and Aguara are, I mean, not super similar, but they are both similar, and they'll get to that top tier of guys when they develop more moves because Aguara uses a lot of strength, Weaver uses a lot of speed.
Yeah.
I think what sent Weaver higher on my board is he just performed better in college. Like what he had
I think he had
over
like
10 sacks last year. I don't
yeah,
know. It was something impressive.
he did pretty well.
And obviously he's playing at Boise State, not Juarez at Notre Dame, but
Yeah,
I
that's
still
a
like to see
big
that
difference.
production.
Definitely. So we talked about your number 6 a lot. I had Zach Bond at number 6. I've seen him go first round on some draft boards. I doubt that ever happens, but we'll see what happens. But I like this kid a lot. Again, Big Ten school. So he has that experience, winning experience. Pretty good all-around player. He's kind of, I feel like him and Okwara are kind of up there. Him and Okwara could be interchangeable. I think Okwara is still the better player, but I really like him. Has good traits all around, in my opinion. There are some weaknesses, but I think he can easily fix that. And I think he's pretty NFL ready from what I've heard.
Yeah, for some reason I remember him being small. I'm looking up his 6'3". He's pretty big. Okay. I don't know. I almost put him in the interior linebacker talk because that's where I thought he. Oh no, 6'2", 238 is what they have him as.
All right, yeah, it's
That's not,
a bit undersized comparing to the other linemen we're seeing, but
yeah,
still, he's definitely a solid player. I'm just trying to pull one quick thing up.
yeah. I see him going in the second round, and I write here that he's more of a reliable cover linebacker against running backs coming off the edge.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Good run defense.
So I mean that's something that goes underrated, but teams don't really underrate it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
People just don't. They kind of ignore it.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm just trying to. Who's your? I can't. Hold on. Wait 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to fix something.
Yeah, I can go.
So let's talk about your number 8, Khalid Kareem out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, this guy, I've seen him not going super early, not till the 3rd or the 4th round. I think he's really long, good awareness and leadership on the field, which is a lot of teams draft based on their interviews, and I think this is a guy that would interview well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I wrote that down, like interview plus on mine, because that's kind of a sign if they're like well spoken and all that stuff. Teams actually care about that more than you would think.
Definitely.
And so that kind of leads to not reaches, but what would be perceived as reaches on draft day.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I've definitely seen I think the Niners 3 years ago, their interview with Deshaun Kaiser went so well that they considered him taking him in number 2 overall, which thank God that didn't happen. Unfortunately, we passed up on Jamal Adams, which I'm still kind of mad about. Yeah, but it is what it is. My number 8 is Terrell Lewis. We talked about a lot. Definitely is an impact player that has impacted the Alabama defense a lot. Injuries are the concern. So again, maybe a team that doesn't need an edge rusher could take him, because then he doesn't need the time on the field as much, but definitely a guy who's going to leave an impact. And then number 9, you have Epinesa. I want to hear. We talked about him a bit, but why is he number 9 on your list? Because I feel like a lot of people have him a lot higher up.
Yeah, 9's a little harsh. I have him looking like a late 2nd round talent instead of a late 1st round talent. I mean, that's not too harsh. I just think that he needs to develop more than you'd think, because it's not just that he's slow, because a lot of people run slow times at the combine and are completely fine. I think you brought up Orlando Brown last video.
Cam Dantzler too. That's another guy that we'll talk about a bit later.
Yeah, but he just plays slow, and it's not like a running in a straight line thing. It's that he doesn't have quickness, and he was just kind of a like, okay, once I have you one-on-one, I can figure out a way to get by you, which against more experienced O-linemen who attack you the same way each time is going to be tougher.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see that. I think, in my opinion, he's a bit higher, but obviously you have your own opinion. My number 9 is Curtis Weaver. Again, kind of like what you said. He's a bit raw, though. That's why I have him kind of low.
Yeah.
Good on the run, speed, defense, pretty fast. But yeah, that's why I have him at number 9. I feel like all these guys below Gross Matos are gonna be drafted by teams that don't necessarily need an edge rusher,
but can just develop them.
They can develop them, yeah. So I think Seattle is gonna really want Gross Matos. I know I've seen them going on mock drafts for Epinesa, but I think if he's there, I think they'll probably take him. I don't think it's gonna be the best pick for them, but again, we'll see what happens. I think I had him going. Did I have him? I forget. Oh no, last mock draft I had them taking a tackle. I had them trading up and taking a tackle. That's another position that they need, but we'll talk. That's the mock draft video. Make sure to check that out if you haven't seen it already. And then number 10, you have Josh Uche. I think, is that how you pronounce it?
I think it's Uche.
Uche, yeah. I had him at 7. I don't think I talked about him at all. So why don't you go ahead and talk about him there?
Okay. I like him. I was really excited to see him run at the combine.
Yeah, definitely.
But he didn't. He has a great first step and solid closing speed, which, I mean, it makes him dangerous in both the pass rushing and run stopping games. He is undersized though, at only 6'1", 240 something.
Yeah.
I would have to check, but it's something that he's going to need to work with and develop some more. I mean, that first step is something that has led so many outside linebackers to success. Obviously, Von Miller comes to mind because he's got that crazy quickness that, I mean, Uche doesn't quite have, but in the right environment, he could develop something similar to that.
Yeah, I have him at 7, kind of like that first step. I gotta say, like size, in my opinion, doesn't really affect my rankings too much because I feel like you look at there's some guys that are like they say they're undersized and they come out and perform really well. I think that there's who's the defensive tackle on the Seahawks? That's like I think it's like Puna Ford, like 5'10" or something,
Okay,
defensive
I don't
tackle,
know.
and it's like probably their defensive line isn't good. Let's just be real, but he's probably their best defensive lineman at this point, considering that Clowney and Ansa haven't been signed anywhere and they haven't drafted anyone yet.
Why are they not back in Seattle? I don't know. I mean, that's a little bit of a
I
tangent,
don't
but
know.
like
Well,
they
Clowney's
have
looking for that
cash.
big contract, like that he's
I
not
I
getting.
thought that I heard that he just doesn't want to come back because what was it? I think Wilson said he's like, "Oh yeah, we need you to come back, man," which he wouldn't say if you
Oh,
weren't offering him that money. I don't
I
know.
didn't hear anything. I heard that Miami offered him $17.5 million and he declined it. And then now that was
He's
when he was
looking
looking
for
for.
that.
I know he was looking for 20 million. Now he's looking for like 17. I heard Tennessee's high up on him. I heard
I heard Cleveland.
Cleveland and Seattle too. I think Tennessee would be a great fit for him, but
Honestly, I think the best fit. I don't know how it works in their cap, but I think Philadelphia. They
I
need
don't.
an impact D defensive player to put it all together.
True.
Because I mean, obviously, like the Niners proved last season, pass rush helps the
Yeah,
secondary,
definitely.
and their secondary sucks. Even with
The Niners.
Slay. No,
Oh
the
no, you're talking
Eagles.
about the Eagles. Okay, yeah, their
But
Eagles is
if they
they're
go in the same
yeah. I
mold,
bet they're gonna take a. They're definitely gonna take a cornerback. We'll get into the rankings there. Or actually, no, I think safety is a better fit because they lost Malcolm Jenkins.
yeah,
So, but I bet they'll take a cornerback too. Anyways, let's move on to our next position, and that is inside linebacker. So once again, our outside linebackers are with edge. These are our inside linebackers. I think the unanimous number one inside linebacker is Isaiah Simmons, probably the most versatile player in this class. In my opinion, could be the second best player in this class behind Chase Young. I think I'm going to be. There's not going to be that many teams that are going to want to pass up on him.
yeah. I would have agreed. I've heard lately though that if he doesn't get taken by the Giants at 4,
I think
he might fall out of the top maybe to
10.
Cleveland.
Really, I think Carolina's not going to pass it. They need a linebacker.
Yeah, but no, but he plays right outside and they have who's Carolina's? He's good. He's a
Kuechly, no,
good
Kuechly retired.
No, it's not Keekly.
Is it?
Um
Hold on.
Here, let me Google it.
I've heard him going to. I've also heard the Jacksonville to like film like Telvin to fill Telvin Smith's spot. Whatever happened, I don't even know what happened to him.
Who? Wait, sorry. What?
Telvin Smith.
Telvin Smith, he's in Jacksonville, I thought.
He's had this like hiatus that's going on from whatever. Oh, Shaq Thompson's the guy that you're thinking about.
Yeah, yeah. I
Shaq
was gonna
Thompson.
say,
They have Brian Burns, but he's more of a defensive lineman. I feel like edge rusher.
yeah, but they just got to hear Whitehead.
To hear
and
Whitehead's
they have
pretty
Shaq
good.
Thompson. So they would essentially, what I heard is they would have to put him at safety, where he's
Yeah, I don't
not.
think. Yeah, that's not going
He's
to be.
not a day one starter at safety.
I don't think. Yeah,
People
I
like
think
his
if whoever's going
versatility.
to, whoever's going to draft him, they're going to want him at linebackers. So I think if he falls to Cleveland, they're for sure going to take him.
Yeah,
I think Carolina. It's going to be hard for them to pass up, but I can see that happening. Maybe Jacksonville. Maybe I've also heard Arizona. Maybe, but I don't think they're going to want to pass up on a no lineman.
yeah.
Just like
I mean,
considering like they have, or maybe even they trade back. I don't know if they're going to want if there's a team that's going to want him, but we'll see what happens.
I agree with that. I think they could trade back, honestly.
Yeah,
If-
I was thinking last night to myself, what if I've heard Denver, Atlanta, and Dallas are all looking to trade up. So I'm just hoping that Denver doesn't trade up and takes a receiver because then we're kind of screwed at that position.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals would probably prefer to go to trade with probably Atlanta or Denver, just because the fourth of those big 4 linemen will probably still be there if they move back.
Yeah,
Because that's assuming that the Giants take Simmons, and then the only linemen are Cleveland,
Jets
maybe
maybe.
the Jets, Bucks for
Bucks
sure,
for sure. If Bucks for sure.
and That's like no one
Miami's
else. So
Miami's
they
the
would get
other threat that
4.
could trade up, that could get an O lineman right there.
You think they'll trade up with their 17th or 20?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if they're
24th.
necessarily going to trade up. It's 18 and 26, but they have
18, 26.
they have 14 picks. So I'm not going to be surprised if they trade up to get whoever they want. Or maybe they just sit back and wait for Josh Jones. We talked about O-line yesterday. Make sure to check the rankings out.
Yeah.
Let's move back to this. So our 2 and 3, we have interchange. You have Patrick Queen first. I have Kenneth Murray first. I like Murray a little bit better. I think he's just a better fit for some teams. And I think he's definitely going to go first round, whereas Queen might fall to the second round. I think Murray's just the overall better player. Again, kind of like what we were saying with people being overshadowed. Queen could be a bit overshadowed in that LSU defense, considering they have so much talent there. But I just feel like Murray's a teeny bit better than Patrick Queen. So that's what I got for that.
Yeah, I think they're both definitely number one or first round picks. Patrick Queen has that solid like coverage that is becoming more
he's
and
really
more prevalent among linebackers. Which Murray is, I mean, he somewhat has, but he's more like a closing speed and downhill running guy on like blitzes from the inside. But I mean, Murray, what I've heard is he's just like this determined player and like a great guy. He has like 4 orphan step siblings or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I think people are going to like, as you were saying with like interviews, I think he could be a good interview guy.
Yeah, for sure. So, they said he was all business at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think he interviewed Green Bay. There were some other teams. He interviewed like 4 teams today, I think, from what I heard. But I think if New Orleans does, I think New Orleans is going to trade back. If they don't trade back, then Queen will probably go to Baltimore and Murray to New Orleans. Or they could be interchanged because LSU guy, Louisiana. But I think Murray's just the better fit in New Orleans. So we'll see what happens there. Number 4 and 5, we have the same. Let's talk about Akeem Davis Gaither. Is it Gaither or Gather?
I think it's Gaither.
Gaither. We both love this guy. I think a lot of people are underrating him because he went to Appalachian State.
Yeah, he was a safety to start, and he transferred to linebacker. So he is a bit undersized.
He's a bit raw too, I feel like.
6'1". But I mean, he plays a long 6'1". He's got speed, strength, and I mean, he moves. And this may be a defect of playing at Appalachian State, but I mean, he just looked like he was moving at a different speed, which, I said, that's gonna change. But with like a 3rd round pick, and he has such an elite future, I could even see him converting back to like strong safety and playing like that box safety position. Like
I think that would be a good
Carl Joseph or a Cam Chancellor, but I mean, he's not really Cam Chancellor.
So we both have him at number 4. I kind of agree with you. Said he is a bit raw at some places, but I think he can easily develop, and get some. He can be a really good player. That's why I have him at number 4. Number 5 is also the same. Troy Dye. I just heard that he was a pretty good player. I didn't read too much about him. I want to hear what you got on him.
Yeah, I obviously I don't think I watched much of his tape just because I am a big Cal fan, so I watched a lot of Oregon football anyway. But this guy is just kind of a field general, solid tackler, wraps up, 6'3", pretty long. I don't know, he's not like super fast or anything. He's an okay cover linebacker. I mean, he's kind of what you want in a 4th rounder who could develop into like a solid backup middle linebacker, good tackler, reliable. He kind of reminds me of who was the Niners linebacker last year?
Fred Warner?
Rookie.
Oh, Dre
Greenlaw. Somewhat in his abilities, but not completely, obviously.
I think definitely that's definitely a good comparison. I think if that's a good if that like comparison lives up, I think he can be a beast in the NFL. So yeah. All right, number 6 and 7. Again, interchange. You have Anthony Jennings first. I can definitely see why he's first. I think he's a bit overshadowed again, as we've all been talking. I have Harrison first because I just think he's a little bit better. He definitely stood out to me a bit more, in my opinion. when watching some film. I didn't watch too much film, but I watched those two film. He definitely stood out to me a bit more. That's why I got him at 6. I think he's a bit of a better player than Jennings, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Jennings go over Harrison.
Yeah, they're different players in that
Yeah, definitely.
Jennings has like that awareness and like I could see him like filling holes in the in the O line and coming up and making running back like tackles. Where Harrison, I see him more as staying back and playing that middle of the field. He can guard. Yeah, he can play that zone coverage also for a bigger linebacker.
Yeah,
But they're pretty similar. I have them both as 4th round projected guys.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to number 8 and 9. So I feel like also I just want to point this out. I feel like after Akeem Davis Gaither, there's a bit of a gap right there.
I think even between Davis Gaither and Murray, he's on an
there's definitely
island
gap. There's definitely a gap there. I think it's like top 3, Davis Gaither, and then the rest. That's what I feel like it's like. But 8 and 9 again, we have interchange. I gotta say, I think it's a bit biased. I think there's probably a bit of bias in yours rankings that Evan Weaver's ahead of Jordan Brooks. But
I mean, yeah, I can talk about
you just like watch more film naturally, so
yeah. Weaver, I thought all of last season when I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of these other guys, I thought it was crazy that he was like 4th round projected.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty good.
Picked. But then after watching him compared to the other guys, he's like big and fast for his speed, but he's just not that like super athlete that all these other guys. He's not like really long. He's not going to be a great pass rusher. He's good in coverage, I guess, but he knows what's going on better, which is I guess the thing that I could say for him.
Yeah.
For a reason that I put him ahead of Brooks, it's just that field awareness.
Yeah.
That instinct, I don't think he has that. And Weaver and a guy like Batchy, who I have at 10, they do have that. But he's more raw. Jordan Brooks has a higher ceiling, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I definitely think he has the high. It's definitely like I feel like Brooks has the higher ceiling. I also feel like he has a bit of a lower floor. But I've seen Jordan Brooks go as high as 1st round in some mocks.
Wow.
I know. I think it's a bit crazy, but I think I saw one mock had him going like 32 or 30 to Green Bay. I don't know. But I think I definitely like him a lot. Definitely has a higher ceiling. That's why I kind of have him at 8. I think Weaver definitely had the better college career, in my opinion.
I mean, he led the country in tackles last season.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's like if they could really be interchanged. So, yeah. So we both have. Hold on, wait. I think I might have done something. Is Jacob? Hold on. All right, sorry. Hold on. So I messed up right here. So Jacob Phillips is not out of Michigan State. He's out at LSU. I think I forgot to change. I think I just was writing it down and I saw that. So let me change that.
Here, I can talk about my guy.
Talk about Joe Bachie right now.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it. Joe something with the B. He's a solid tackler and he reads the opposition well. He doesn't have the measurables or the athleticism, but he seems like a leader, smart guy with a like kind of sideline to sideline presence, I guess is what I'd say best. But he doesn't have the athleticism.
Yeah, I'm really thinking probably like a round 5 guy.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Around there,
5 or 6.
I mean, not Dragon, another round 5 guy. He panned out well, so never know. I have Jacob Phillips here. I think he's definitely really overshadowed at LSU as we've been talking. Like when you look at LSU, you look at Patrick Queen, and that's really only who like a lot of people look at. But Jacob Phillips, I think he definitely played a good role in that defense. I think he had a solid impact there. I really like the way he plays. There are some things he needs to fix. I think he's a tiny bit raw. But again, we'll see what happens. I think, was he a junior or a senior? I forget.
No clue.
No clue. Okay. I have no clue. He's 21, so Probably a junior. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people are saying he's raw, which I can agree with if he is a junior, but it is what it is. All right, let's move on to, in my opinion, one of the more stacked positions in this class are positions I'm excited about, and that's cornerback. I also might be a bit biased because like the Niners need a quarterback, so I've been doing a lot of research on these guys. But we can both agree that Okudah, Henderson, and Gladney are the top three in this class. I really like Gladney. I think a lot of people are, and Diggs at number 4, but I really like Gladney a lot. I think a lot of people are definitely sleeping on him. I think if he's available at 31, the Niners are going to want to take him. Maybe well, it depends if we want to trade back or not. But I think he's definitely a guy who a lot of teams are going to want, and maybe goes. He's probably late first round, early second round, but might even go higher.
Yeah, I did my a lot of my big board and my grades based on value, and I think Gladney and Diggs are at the upper echelon of that value. Just because why take Okudah at what he's projected to go like 3 or wherever they trade back to, maybe 5 or 6, but you could get Gladney at the end of the first round, where the only complaints about him are his size, because he's
and that's
5'10", and he's got.
There's a lot of 5'10" corners that are really good in the league.
Yeah, I wrote a couple of them down, but I'm not here. And then it's just like, okay, he did great in his interviews. He looked great on the field. Like, just because he's a couple inches shorter, you're gonna like potentially take Okudah way too high.
Yeah, I definitely think Okudah could probably go a bit lower in the draft, but I really like Gladney, just to say that right now. I think also when your point about Detroit taking him at 3, I think they could also maybe take Simmons at 3. I think they have a pretty high second round pick probably, or they might have traded. I don't know what the status is on that. But no, they didn't trade it. I don't know what I'm thinking. Anyways, but I think they could definitely do that. I think that's a bit of a smarter move, a bit more risky in my opinion, because I think Okudah is probably the best corner in the draft, a bit like most NFL ready. He seems like that guy who can really step in and take Darius Slay's spot, probably do even better than him. And Henderson as well. I think I really like him a lot. I don't think he's going to fall past Dallas at 17. I think either Atlanta, Denver, Dallas, maybe even the Niners will take him, or even the Raiders. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely have him going early. I could even see him going 9 to Jacksonville, because they got rid of.
Oh yeah, that's another
Boye, Ramsey, and I don't really know who's there.
Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville. For Jacksonville,
it's either Kinlaw or Henderson.
Yeah, because if Brown's available, they're going to take him for sure.
Yeah, that would be
if
Carolina went Simmons,
and Carolina takes Simmons. So hold on, give me 1 second. Sorry, there's just a ton of eraser shavings on my desk. All right. Anyways, we have Diggs at 4, as we were kind of saying. I think he's definitely another guy who's really NFL ready. I just think Gladney has such a higher ceiling than him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say higher ceiling, just because Diggs is so long and athletically gifted, and his ball skills, obviously, with his brother. I mean, you've already seen it. But yeah, I just said he's uber athletic, and he can stuff you at the line or use his speed to stop you down the field. He's just an all-around playmaker. He gets a little excited in his instincts and tries to jump the ball, but I'd say over time he'll develop some more ability to judge it better. But yeah.
Yeah, and then with being like the brother of Stephon Diggs, like it's he has that NFL connection. He knows a lot about like the ins and outs of the NFL, I'm assuming, just like by having a brother who plays there.
Yeah.
So again, his brother's a wide receiver. He's a cornerback. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, number 5. So you have Darnay Holmes, who I don't even have on my list. I honestly don't really like him that much.
Yeah, I tried to do mine. I think I said this before in our last video, but I tried to do mine based on nothing else, just what I watched on
just
tape,
what you watched,
and
that's
like what I thought. So that's why some of them are a little bit off. But I'll just read verbatim what I wrote. I said, one of the more polished corners in the draft with footwork to keep up with an NFL receiver and the good field vision of a ball hawk in a zone. Very patient and simply has NFL instincts in most ways. That the issue is that he isn't insanely athletic that a lot of teams love to draft exclusively. I think he'll still end up being a solid number 2 or 3 corner on the team and will have a long NFL career. I predict him in the third
I think
round.
he could. I can see him being like a number 2 or 3. I forget what it was. There was some weakness that just like I really did not like seeing on there. So
yeah,
I forget what
I
it
didn't
was.
read a lot about it. I tried to not read a ton about him or any like players that weren't. I mean, the only other outside stuff that I watched. I don't know if you've looked at Bleacher Report's Stick to Football podcast.
I have not. No.
I've been listening to those and their positional rankings. I think they're doing defense this week too.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. I think one of the things I think it was like tight hips was the weakness that like kind of there was like that, and there was like a lot more. Like it was concerning his coverage skills, I think, or something like that. I forget what it was.
Plays stiff or something.
Yeah, he plays really stiff, and then like it was like consistent and everything. And from what I've heard, it might be a bit hard for him to fix, but that's just me. Number 5, I have Christian Fulton. I really like. I don't like him as much as the other guys. He's probably going to go round 1. I think Jacksonville might take him at 20 if they don't take a corner at 9. But I think is he the guy that like needs he's not the good tackler? Or is that Delpit?
I mean, Fulton and Delpit are similar in that they both had injury concerns and played really inconsistently.
Yeah, that's my problem with Fulton.
Yeah.
Like I think he had a bit of tackling concerns, bit inconsistent. That's why I have him at number 5. But other than that, I think he definitely has a really high ceiling. Which I like about him. Definitely has a lot of potential to develop. So
my 5 through even 11 with Noah Igbenogany are pretty interchangeable. I put Fulton. I guess I'll talk about Hall first, but Hall is just a guy that he's like pretty athletic, but he tries to, similar to Trayvon Diggs, he tries to jump the ball to make those big flashy plays every time. And that's going to get him caught like jumping or pass interference at the next level, where receivers know how to manipulate that better and quarterbacks as well. But if he can hone that in, he'll
become pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wrote elite on here, but I don't know if that's. I mean, he has a playmaking skill.
Mm-hmm. You see that XFL filed for bankruptcy?
Yeah, they're done after 1 year. That's tough.
There's a lot. Yeah. All right. I'll talk about my number 6. I have Cam Dancel here. I love this kid. I really think he's going to be really good in the NFL. Great coverage skills. I think the one concern that a lot of teams had is his speed, but he ran like a 4.38 on his like virtual pro day, which a lot of people are still doubting. But I think I really like this kid. I think he's going to be, if the Niners can get him, can trade back and get him, I will be really happy about him. I think he's going to be doing really well in the NFL. I just like he's definitely a guy that has been on my radar for a bit now. And I definitely think that he's going to be a really good player. He has all the tools to be an NFL player, which I really like. So a good NFL player, which I should say. So that's why I like him that's why I have him there. Probably a second round talent, might fall to the 3rd, but I don't think that many teams are going to want to pass up on him. And also one more thing about speaking of cornerback rankings, from what I've heard, a lot of teams have like the rankings for cornerbacks are so different, like for every team. Same with receivers. So you might see like Cam Dantzler go in the 1st round. You might see Arnett go round 1. You might see Terrell fall around 3 or something. I don't know. From what I've heard, the cornerback rankings for every team are a lot different for every team.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, number 7. So speaking of AJ Terrell, I have him here. I definitely think he can go round 1. Probably going to fall around 2, in my opinion. No one in our mock draft had him in round 1, which I found kind of surprising. But I definitely like him. I think is he the guy that's a bit undersized? I think he's like 5 something, or am I thinking of someone else?
Terrell.
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
No, he's 6'1". Never mind. He's not undersized. I'm thinking
Yeah,
there was someone else who was undersized that um, I don't really know. But I think he's gonna be a decent corner. But he definitely did well in college, first of all. So that's one thing a lot of teams like about him. But I don't necessarily know if that's gonna go to the NFL as well, that talent. But anyways, nevertheless, I think he's gonna be a first, second round talent. So yeah, that's what I got for him. You have Kristen Fulton here, so you're not that high up on.
yeah. I thought his tape was unimpressive, and he made a lot of easy plays. Um, he has the ability to track the deep ball, which a lot of teams like, and make those big like pass breakups downfield. But it was also the fact that LSU defense, and I know
Yeah.
I keep flip flopping whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that they were on a ridiculous defense with like 10 first rounders.
Well, I
Um,
think it's going to be like they're going to fall. They're just going to fall in the draft. But I mean, if every team's like in there, I obviously none of them are going to be all. Not everyone is going to pan out really well. But still, like when you have a good D, like you have what it takes to be good in the NFL. Like you've been on like an elite defense, so that's why I feel like a lot. That's why I feel like a lot of these guys are probably going to pan out.
mhm.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, my next guy is I don't know if it's Damon or
I think it's
Damon.
like Damon Arnett. We both have him at number 8.
Yeah,
So I definitely think again kind of overshadowed by Okuda, but definitely a good number 2 corner. Probably going to stay a number 2 corner in the NFL in my opinion, but I think he's definitely going to have a decent career. Um, I think there was I forget what weaknesses there were, but there were some weaknesses that really stood out to a lot of teams. I think. So yeah, that's why I got him at number 8.
yeah. I have Cam Dancer at 9. Um,
Yeah, I can.
I talked about his versatility, where he when he blitzes, he looks like a linebacker going after the quarterback, and I mean he's a good breakdown tackler. I just didn't see a lot of on his tape, a lot of great coverage plays, which concerned me because when I'm watching tape, I'm watching for what I see and also what I don't see because that says a lot about what he did well. And a lot of it was making big tackles in the short field, I guess,
Yeah,
which kind of translates to me more as a slot corner. But I don't know.
yeah. I have Bryce Hall at number 9. I think the only reason I have him here is I don't think he's better than the guys ahead of him. There's not too much of a gap though, but I definitely think he can definitely translate well into a solid starting cornerback in the NFL. Maybe number 1 corner. We'll see what happens, but I definitely like him. I would be happy if the Niners took him as well. Him, Dantzler, and Gladney are the guys for me at least. I really want the Niners to take. Maybe Henderson, but I think we would trade back from 13 if we wanted that. But we'll see what happens. And then my number 10, I have Noah Igbinoghene. Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Igbinoghene, I think.
Igbinoghene. All right, whatever. So, I think the tape, like watching his tape, was not that good. Um, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
he's super raw. I think his parents, ooh, voice crack. His parents were both like incredible athletes or something. When I was watching his tape, they were
Yeah,
talking about it. But I was discussing between him and Terrell, and I just think Terrell's slightly more polished,
Terrell's definitely a bit more polished, but
where Igbinoghene has that potentially higher ceiling.
yeah, he's definitely a bit raw. He's probably going to need to develop a little bit. Again, a team like the Niners, I don't know if I necessarily want him over Dantzler, Hall, and Gladney, but I think that's another guy, considering he doesn't necessarily need to be the starting cornerback immediately, because we have Mosley, we have Sherman. And I think one of the reasons we're taking a cornerback is to succeed Sherman's place. So we'll see what happens
Succeed.
there. Succeed, yeah. Did I say succeed?
I don't know. I don't
All
actually know
right.
what it is,
I
but
don't know. We'll watch the tape back. But anyways, that's why I got him at number 10. Let's move on to safety. This is one of the weaker positions in the class, and this is our final position that we're ranking. So we both have Delpa out of LSU at number 1. Definitely the best safety in the class. in my opinion. But I think his tackling was not that good from what I've been hearing. Great coverage guy though, but I don't necessarily know if he's going to be like. I can see him being a bust in the NFL, but again, we'll see what happens there. So.
Yeah, I like Delpit. He was the nation's, I don't know what the award is called, but he was the best.
He won. Yeah, he won that award.
And then yeah, I'll talk about I have I'm not super down on Xavier McKinney. I just like Winfield and Wallace slightly more. They're all kind of in that jumbled position. McKinney's a little bit more versatile with his instincts and vision.
Yeah, that's why I have him with there. I think he's definitely a bit more NFL ready than the other two.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree.
I have Wallace pretty low on my list, but we'll talk about it later. Before you talk about Wallace, I just want to say I forgot to bring this up. If you're looking for a nickelback in the draft, I think Lavert Hill, probably a late round pick, but he's pretty good. Darnay Holmes also can play the nickel position, as you talked about. I should have brought that up, but I definitely like both of them if you're talking about a nickelback that you want for your team.
Yeah.
So, all right, continue with Antoine Winfield and Kevon Wallace.
Okay. Winfield, I mean, obviously he did super well at the combine. I don't have his numbers, but when I watched his tape, he had good instincts and field vision, which I really like. He's a good punt returner. And he's also a ball carrier, which is underrated in the way some teams value their players. So he could do some like trick play type stuff. And then he had an issue of size, but I think his athleticism makes up for that.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
I don't know, Wallace. I think he's a great he's gonna translate for me more as like a strong safety where he's not super good in coverage, but he can come down and make tackles and be a playmaker in the running game and blitzes.
Yeah, I definitely think Winfield, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of concern with him, but yeah, that's why I think there's a lot. That's why I think he's pretty low. My number 4 is Ashton Davis out of Cal. I've seen him going round 1. I've really liked the way he's played so far from just like watching tape, reading about him. I do think that some teams have a bit of concern of him being kind of raw, but from what I've heard, but yeah, that's why I got him at number 4. I think he's pretty talented. I think he can definitely translate well into a decent NFL corner. Let's move on to number 5. I have Kyle Duggar here. I love this kid. I think even though he's at a small school, the talent, he's obviously going to be really raw. First of all, that's why a lot of people have him really low on his draft board. But I think like he has the traits to become an NFL prospect, or like obviously he is an NFL prospect, but a decent NFL player, I should say. I think he has a decent overall all around skills. So yeah, that's why I got him at number 5 right there.
Yeah. I don't know. Talking about Kyle Duggar, I have him lower on my list just because of that. I mean, you watch his game film and it's just like, okay, yeah, he's looks like a great playmaker and all that, but he's also
you look at the school he's playing,
moving. Yeah, you watch the other players and it's like, okay, that guy probably will never move forward in football after this, and he made it to here, but Duggar was moving at a completely different pace than everyone else. And the same could be said for Chin, but who I'm slightly higher on. I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I saw a mock draft the other day where Chin went 20. No, he won the tail. I think he went like 27 to Seattle.
I've been seeing him mostly in the second round.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen him climb up the draft boards. But anyways, you talk about your number 5, Jordan Fuller, who I've done some mock draft simulations and I've had him being picked in round 5.
Yeah, I think he's a big play stopper. He's that free safety, like leader down the field who makes up for the mistakes that were left to him. But I mean, he's not ridiculous. He's just going to be that like I don't want to say safety net because obviously a safety is a safety net, but he's that guy who's gonna like prevent that big play defense, which has hurt so many teams, especially the Raiders, who it seems like give up like 8 60-yard plays every game. But he's not going to be like a one-on-one coverage guy or this insane tackler downfield. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen him go pretty late in the drafts, but anyways, moving on. So my number 6 is Jeremy Chin. Again, kind of out of a small school, but I want to hear Ashton Davis. Your thoughts on Ashton Davis before I get into that, because I want to pull up my notes for him.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised when I saw a mock draft that had him going. I think it was 30. It was even before the NFL season, so
It was like 30s. I've seen him going
something or 20 something to the Niners.
Yeah, I
And
don't think. Well, that's not happening anymore because they don't need a safety.
yeah, I don't see him being an NFL player, to be honest. I think he's ridiculously
He's
athletic, like he's an
kinda raw,
Olympic
though.
hurdler, fast, but he just like when he played, I didn't like notice him on the field. I mean, to me, he looked like a ball hawk. He had a couple interceptions each game, and he made a really nice play against UCLA in one of our last games. But it was just like he wasn't. I mean, the fact that he's ahead of Evan Weaver seemed ridiculous to me. I don't. A lot of people are really high and
Yeah,
see
I
him as a
definitely
second
think
round
that.
pick. I don't.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. So my number 6 right here is Jeremy Chin. He's definitely a really versatile player. That's like what a lot of scouts are looking at him for. I don't necessarily if it's going to pan out in the NFL. I think a lot of people are concerned about his man coverage skills. And again, also a really raw player, Southern Illinois. They're D1, right? But I don't know what conference they're in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, but definitely a raw player. Has some concerns at man coverage. So I'm not 100% sure if he's going to pan out. He's definitely going to want to go to a team that doesn't necessarily need a safety. He needs time to develop, in my opinion, before he can take a starting role. Yeah, that's what I got for him. Number 7, I have Kayvon Wallace, as you were saying earlier. Definitely not, doesn't have that raw talent that you necessarily like are concerned about. He's pretty developed concerning like what he went to Clemson, played in that defense, which was pretty damn good if we're talking about that. But you talked about him a lot. So let's just move on to your number 7. You have Geno Stone.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of opinions on 7 through 10 because I already think this. I don't know about you, but I think this is a pretty weak safety
Yeah, I think
class,
it's a really weak class. So
where like
think we
a
can
guy
just,
like Davis or Fuller probably for me are like 5th round talents, and they're going to be taken in the 2nd or 3rd round.
yeah, definitely.
These guys, I just said Geno Stone. He's physical and he runs downfield, but he's got that raw tendency that a lot of DBs have, where he commits super early. So he has a high ceiling, but he needs to refine his play style.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
then,
that's why I kind of have him for number 10. Like he's going to need to refine his play style a lot, which is obviously, in my opinion, that's a bit of a concern if we're talking about like an NFL prospect trying to come in, harder competition, trying to redo their play style. That's always a big concern for me. That's why I got my number 10. But my number 8 and number 9, I have Julian Blackman out of Utah. That's the only guy on our list we haven't talked about yet. And
Yeah.
I don't really have too much on him. I just heard good things about him. Do you have anything on him or not really?
yeah, he switched from corner. He just didn't look overwhelmingly athletic. He has some solid instincts and play recognition. I think he played 4 years in the Pac-12 as a starter. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if he ends up in the right spot, he could be like a backup corner. I don't see him being that next great guy.
Yeah, that's why I kind of think that's what I've been hearing. I've heard he's talented at Utah, but I'm not necessarily sure if you can translate that into the NFL. So, yeah. All right. So we've talked about every player on here. Do you have anything else to say about safeties or any positions?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see. I don't have him because I had some certain opinions, but Jalen Johnson would probably be one of my.
No one had him there. I feel like
yeah.
I just think that the other guys are better. Like this is going to be a stacked cornerback class. He's probably my number 12 or number 11.
All these guys I see going top 3 rounds, if they even go that far.
I bet. All these guys are probably going rounds 1 through 3, and then I've seen Johnson go round 1 on mock drafts, but I just don't think he's better than any of these guys on here.
he runs awkward to me. I
Yeah,
don't know if
that's the
that's
other thing. So
he.
like,
I wrote in mine like he looks kind of like if you watch Kittle at Iowa, he
mhm.
was he had like those ankle injuries or whatever throughout college, and he played
High
through
ankle
them.
sprain his senior year.
And it was like he was running super weird, and that's what Jalen Johnson looked like to me. Like he was super stiff and like
Yeah, I can
hobbling
definitely.
through.
I didn't watch any film on him, but I've heard that like he needs to fix some things before he comes in the NFL. But yeah, the only reason I really have him off here is because like I think the 10 guys I have ahead of
Yeah,
him are
they're
just better
solid.
than him. So yeah, that's what I got for that. Anything else or not really?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know we got a lot of viewers on this video during the live stream, but before I end it, make sure to check out Jake's Draft Hub as well. Post a lot of stuff there. I mentioned it multiple times in the video, so that's what I got right there. But thank you all so much for watching. And I'll try to post some more draft content before. We'll do something for the draft with Jake and the other guys from the other mock draft. We might do another mock draft. But I'll make sure to post more draft content before leading up to the draft. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Go Niners.